The ocean doesn't care what you paid for your boat. It doesn't care about your dealer's showroom lighting, your center console's cup holder count, or the horsepower number on the transom. Offshore, toughness isn't a feeling, it's engineering, measured in stringer and core material, hull-to-deck joint integrity, resin chemistry, flotation, and dead rise geometry, the specific things that decide whether a hull is still structurally sound after a decade of Gulf Stream crossings or just looks fine in a broker's photos. This list is built on those failure modes, not marketing copy. We're counting up the 10 toughest offshore fishing boats in the world, and the boat at number 10 started in a tin shed with a captain who thought the fleet deserved better. Number 1, Boston Whaler 420 Outrage. Since the brand's first hull in 1958, Whaler has built its Unibond construction the same way on every model in the lineup. Fiberglass hull and inner liner laid up separately, locked together while both are still curing in their molds, then flooded with expanding two-part polyurethane foam that chemically bonds both skins into one solid structure under pressure. There is no void space and no core material to absorb water and delaminate, which is why decades-old whalers still survey clean when hulls half their age from other builders are already showing wet stringers. Boston Whaler's own published documentation puts the flotation at up to 2.5 times Coast Guard minimums, and that foam matrix distributes impact loads across the entire hull instead of concentrating stress at individual joints the way a conventionally stringer and liner boat does. The 420 Outrage, currently Whaler's largest production model, applies this same construction at true offshore scale, with 316 stainless hardware throughout. It's the reason a whaler is one of the only production boats on the water that genuinely cannot sink. Full stop, not unsinkable as a brochure word. Number 2, Grady White Canyon 456. Grady White has won every J.D. Power Marine study ever conducted and every consecutive NMMA Customer Satisfaction Index award since that program launched in 2003, an independently verified streak no other saltwater production manufacturer has matched. The company completed its transition to all composite transoms in the 2015 model year and all composite stringers in 2016, meaning zero wood anywhere in the structural hull, with the stringer system precision molded fiberglass bonded into the hull while still in the mold and fully encapsulated. The Canyon 456, Grady's 45-foot flagship, carries 616 gallons of fuel and up to 1,800 horsepower on Grady's patented CV squared hull, with closed cell foam filling every below-deck void throughout the entire hull, not just where Coast Guard regulations technically require it, and 316 stainless steel through-bolted at every penetration point. The hull-to-deck joint uses a shoebox fit overlap secured with the same stainless and marine adhesive, then capped with a stainless rub rail. Independent surveyors running moisture meters on Grady hulls after years in saltwater slips document readings consistently under the 8% dry threshold, the actual benchmark every other boat in this segment gets measured against. Number 3, Yellowfin 42. Built in Bradenton, Florida on 100% vinyl ester resin, confirmed by Sportfishing magazine's own review of the 42 and independently verified across multiple construction sources, Yellowfin's hulls are laid up using vacuum bagging, pulling resin through the fiberglass under negative pressure to eliminate the air voids that hand lamination leaves behind. Core cell composite coring runs through the hull with solid fiberglass surrounding every through-hull fitting, so the core never gets exposed to water intrusion at a penetration point. The box-designed stringer system is bonded, glassed, and tabbed to both hull and liner, and Yellowfin backs its composite hulls with a 5-year transferable warranty, the kind of guarantee a builder only offers when a surveyor finding rot decades later isn't a real risk. Number 4, Contender 32 ST. Homestead, Florida, building since 1984 under continuous ownership by the same founding family. Every hull is hand laminated with biaxial and triaxial cloth in vinyl ester resin throughout the entire structure, which independent marine engineering sources confirm resists osmotic blistering far better than standard polyester because the resin's molecular structure resists water absorption at the glass interface. There is no core material anywhere below the waterline, just solid fiberglass, and the stringer system is a fiberglass composite assembly with no wood, independently reviewed by marine surveyors who describe it as oversized relative to what the structure actually requires. The 32ST specifically uses a stepped hull design that reduces wetted surface area at speed, lowering drag and improving efficiency at offshore cruise. Sportfishing magazine has documented that Contender's 32-foot platform alone has landed more offshore world records than any other boat in its size class, a direct result of a hull that is physically capable of staying out there long enough to set them. Number 5. Regulator 31. Built in Edenton, North Carolina since 1988, every regulator stringer is a single piece of molded fiberglass, handcrafted with no wood, bonded to the hull with high-strength adhesive and foam injected, so hull and stringer cure as one unit, a process confirmed on Regulator's own published construction documentation and consistent since the brand's founding. Naval architect Lou Codega's hull carries 24 degrees of transom dedrise, confirmed across independent test reviews including Saltwater Sportsman's own Boat Buyer's Guide, geometry that lets the bow cut into offshore chop instead of slamming across it, reducing the repetitive stress that eventually opens a joint on a lesser hull over a service life of decades. The published dry weight with engines on the 31 runs past 11,000 pounds, weight that's entirely intentional, keeping the boat composed at 20 knots in conditions that put lighter hulls into a crawl. Number 6. CV340Z. Built in Miami specifically for Gulf Stream conditions, this model's stepped hull carries 23.5 degrees of dedrise at the transom and uses sealed composite foam cores throughout, with no wood anywhere to rot. The stepped design reduces wetted surface at speed, which cuts drag without sacrificing the deep V's rough water manners, and the hardware throughout is premium stainless, bedded and backed properly rather than just through-bolted and hoped for. CV sells factory direct, which means a boat customized specifically for canyon runs and 100-mile-plus offshore days, not a generic layout built for a dealer's showroom floor. Number 7. Everglades 435 CC. Everglades was founded in Edgewater, Florida by Bob Doherty, who invented and patented the construction process behind every Everglades hull. Ram cap, rapid molded core assembly process, winner of the NMMA Innovation Award in 1999, and confirmed in detail across factory documentation, manufacturing engineering interviews, and independent industry sources. Instead of injecting foam after the hull is built, Everglades pre-molds high-density closed-cell structural foam blocks at 3 times the density of standard spray foam flotation, fits them precisely into the hull cavity, then bonds the liner in with structural adhesives so the whole assembly cures as one rigid unit. There is no separate stringer system, no void space, and no wood anywhere in the boat, from the transom to the upholstery backing, which uses high-density plastic instead of ply. The 435 Everglades flagship center console stays afloat even when fully flooded, and the whole lineup is backed by a lifetime transferable hull warranty and a 3-year component warranty, the kind of guarantee a manufacturer only writes when it has zero concern about what a surveyor finds inside that hull decades from now. Number 8. Freeman 42. While other builders treat catamaran hulls as one line among several, Freeman has built nothing else, and that focus shows in what owners call one of the softest offshore rides in the category, a reputation with a cult-level following among captains who run long distances in sloppy conditions. The dual hull design widens the running surface and cuts the violent roll that turns a monohull's beam C into a fight, letting the boat maintain speed through chop that would force a V hull to throttle back. That singular focus on one hull form, refined instead of diversified, is precisely why Freeman keeps showing up on the boats of captains who fish hard, far, and often. Number 9. Invincible 40 Cat. Founded in 2006 by Alex Lipworth, an avid saltwater angler who partnered with naval architect Michael Peters to design the stepped V ventilated tunnel hull that still anchors Invincible's monohull lineup today across models from 33 to 43 feet. In 2016, Invincible added a catamaran line engineered with Morelli and Melvin, the same design house behind record-setting racing multi-hulls, applying that pedigree to a semi-asymmetric twin-step hull, vacuum-bagged and infused, built entirely on vinyl ester resin rather than polyester. The 40 Cat specifically is rated for more than 650 miles of range at a cruise speed of 40 miles per hour, with 26-inch gunnels offering real security in a seaway, enough to run offshore, fish hard all day, and come home without ever touching the reserve tank. Number 10. Jarrett Bay 90 Custom. This is the apex predator of offshore fishing toughness, and it started in a tin shed. Randy Ramsey, the youngest charter captain on the island at 18, began building his first boat in 1986 with fellow captain Jim Luxton because he believed the commercial and charter fleet deserved better engineering than what production yards were selling for rough Atlantic conditions. That 52-foot plank-on-frame boat, Sensation, delivered in 1988, defined what captains still call the Carolina Ride, and Jarrett Bay has since delivered more than 100 custom and semi-production sportfish boats out of its own 175-acre marine park in Beaufort, North Carolina. Every Jarrett Bay is a one-off, not a fixed model, but the yard's current 90-foot custom program is the clearest expression of the philosophy. 2 separate 90-footers under construction simultaneously as of this year, built using cold-molded hull construction fused with modern infusion lamination on the superstructure and decks to save weight without sacrificing strength. These boats carry more than 4,000 gallons of fuel for campaigns that chase big game across entire oceans, not just a weekend canyon run. Every hull is built one at a time, by hand. For owners who need a boat engineered for conditions a production line was never designed to survive. Here's why these 10 made the list and most offshore-rated boats didn't. First, the core debate. Wood cord transoms and stringers fail the same way every time, regardless of builder reputation. Water finds a fastener hole or a gel coat crack, rot spreads invisibly through the plywood or balsa underneath, and the fiberglass skin on top looks flawless, while the structure beneath it is already compromised. Every boat on this list solved that by removing wood from the equation entirely, whether through solid glass like Contender and Regulator, foam-injected composite like Whaler, or Ramcap's pre-molded blocks like Everglades. Second, the resin question. Standard polyester resin absorbs water at the resin-to-glass interface over decades, which is exactly how osmotic blistering starts. Vinyl ester resin resists that absorption at the molecular level, which is why it shows up specifically on Yellowfin, Contender, Invincible, and CV, not as a marketing term on a spec sheet, but as a chemistry decision that costs more per hull and pays off 20 years later. Third, flotation. Boston Whaler and Everglades both build hulls that stay afloat completely flooded, a feature almost no other production category offers because it's expensive to engineer, and most builders never get asked for it by buyers who assume all boats float the same way. Fourth, the monohull catamaran divide isn't about which is objectively tougher, it's about which failure mode you're engineering against. A deep V like Regulator or Contender fights waves head-on with dead-rise geometry and hull weight, while a catamaran like Freeman or Invincible avoids the fight entirely by spreading the load across 2 narrower hulls and refusing to roll the way a monohull does in a beam C. Fifth, range and scale matter at the extreme end of this list. Jarrett Bay's 4,000-gallon fuel capacity isn't luxury, It's the structural and mechanical margin that lets a 90-foot sportfish turn back from genuinely bad weather instead of being forced to run through it because the tanks won't stretch any further. So here's how to actually choose from this list based on what you're doing with the boat. If you want a global expedition sportfish built to run anywhere in the world and chase fish across oceans instead of just canyons, Jarrett Bay is the only real answer, and you'll be commissioning a hull, not shopping a lot. If long-range offshore range with catamaran stability is the priority, especially for crews who fish far and often in sloppy conditions, look at Invincible for the dealer network and documented range numbers, or Freeman. If a famously soft ride and a singular focus on multi-hulls matters more to you than brand breadth. If you want proven vinyl ester construction with a documented world record pedigree, Contender leads that conversation, with Yellowfin and CV close behind for stepped hull efficiency and Gulfstream-specific engineering. If a hull that genuinely cannot sink matters more than anything else on this list, Boston Whaler and Everglades are both built around that exact promise, backed by the strongest warranties in the segment. And if you want the single best documented reliability record in the entire category, independently verified by J.D. Power and the NMMA since 2003, not brand loyalty, that's Grady White. That's what toughness actually means out here. It's never one feature on a spec sheet. It's a chain of design decisions that all assume the same thing. The ocean is going to try to break your boat, sooner or later, and these 10 were built specifically to refuse.